What's up, you guys? It's Low Beauty Demon, and I'm back to talk about internet BS. I'm gonna be talking about Trisha Paytas today, everyone's favorite train wreck. But before we get started, welcome back, or if you're new here, welcome. If you have not already, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you get a notification every time I post a video, because I do not have a regular upload schedule. I always hold my breath when I'm like doing that whole intro, like I have to get it out, and I need to learn how to breathe. Also, before I jump into all the stuff I'm gonna be talking about, I like to give a little disclaimer. Please don't send anybody that I'm gonna talk about in this video any hate, negativity, nothing like that. These are just my thoughts, my opinions based on what I'm seeing play out on the internet. Cause oh God, does Trisha Paytas put everything on the internet. So that being said, if you have any thoughts about what we're talking about in the video today, just shoot them down below. I'm sure there will be plenty of thoughts because Trisha evokes a lot of them. Okay, so Trisha has been doing a lot of shit. Like, I feel like everywhere I look, there is something new happening that is controversial, scandalous going on with Trisha Paytas. Like a lot of other people, we thought Trisha Paytas had turned over a new leaf, but I think within the past month, we've all quickly realized that that is not the case. So the first thing I want to talk about is Trish Skin. Now, I'm an esthetician. I am a licensed professional in the skincare world. I've been in this industry for going into 11 years now, and I was an educator in aesthetics for 4 years. So that being said, I know quite a bit about the skincare and beauty industry, and I know quite a bit about the legalities of it that go into this. So I thought about making like an entire video just about this, but I really didn't want to be that person. But it just continued to irk me a little bit. So initially, Trisha came out with this skincare line. They had partnered with a company called Glow Skin Enhancement, which I had never heard of. Turns out they were some sort of like high-end private label that I didn't really recognize any of the other people they've listed on their site, except for T. Braxton, which I think is like Tony Braxton. So Trisha did come out with Trish Skin. They promoted it on an episode of Frenemies. Actually, they had a whole commercial, and straight out of the gate, people were clocking this for a few reasons. One, in the commercial, Trisha obviously has a filter covering their skin. They're wearing a lot of makeup because we know Trish likes to get glam. I'm not going to judge somebody for getting glam, but I am going to judge somebody for being glam in a skincare commercial and then having massive amounts of blurring filter over it. I mean, Trisha looked great, their skin looked great, but in the commercial, even when they were washing their face and supposedly had no makeup on, there was still blurring filter, so you couldn't really see their skin. Now, Trisha did say that they didn't choose that filter, that the company or whoever did the ad decided to use that filter, and they were gonna try and get the raw, unedited footage out and release it. I don't think that ever happened. Maybe she just forgot, or she got busy. I'm gonna assume she never even intended to do that though. Actually, before I go any further into this discussion, let me just put another disclaimer. I did not purchase this product. I do not intend to purchase this product. So this is not a review of Trish Skin. This is just, once again, based on what I'm seeing on the internet. But the next like kind of concern that started to pop up with Trish Skin was how things were being shipped. Trish and the company Glow Skin Enhancement had this special box made that had this little special foam thing to hold all of the pieces of the skincare. This is a $200 skincare set, by the way. I'm an esthetician and I like bougie skincare, so I understand buying expensive product, but that is still a lot of money to drop on product all at once. So people are expecting this stuff to stay in this foam thing and this box is going to be perfectly made, that their products are going to make it on time and in one piece. But people started getting their stuff and it was a disaster. So one TikTok, I'll see if I can find it and at least like kind of put the clip in here. Okay, you guys, I decided to do this as a voiceover because, well, it just seemed easier, and so if you enjoyed my voice, you're welcome. So this is TikTok creator Janny Baby or Janie Baby, I'm not sure which. She got her Trishkin order. You just saw her take it out of the box. Look how screwed up this box is, you guys. The box is in complete disarray. Look, it's not even like it's falling apart. And stuff is just everywhere. There isn't a foam thing on top to keep these products in place. And you can see that product is, the lid is broken off of it. The pump came off. She's taking everything out, putting lids back on it. And see, there's like the little cap for it. And even her little promotional thing, totally, because that thing spilled everywhere. So getting everything together. Now, when she first posted this, she got quite a bit of hate. And after this, she got this comment that was from the owner of Glow Skin Enhancement. Now, Charlotte Wilson did come out and say that was posted by like a social media manager, and she apologized, and they sent her this new set. But look how they sent it. Look at that box. They didn't even put it together. They just put it in the postage, the UPS thing, and then wrapped it in bubble wrap. She paid $200 for this, and they couldn't figure out proper shipping for this. That's just ridiculous to me. And she uses a butcher knife to open everything. It's kind of, hardcore. But I'm just so blown away that they sent the box like folded up like that, and everything folded up. I mean, it made it to her at least this time, but come on. And I think part of the problem there is because Glow Skin Enhancement is a smaller company. I'm going to assume that they just make the products and ship them in bulk, and they had never been in charge of the entire distribution. If you have a shipping and handling and you have somebody who's the head of like packaging, they're gonna tell you, you can't just have like a bunch of space with like glass containers moving around. The other thing that Trisha was getting kind of like clocked for when the commercials came out was, Trisha, you have been seeing dermatologists, you've been talking about this, and she'd also been getting a lot of chemical peels, which she had made some kind of video where her skin was like really flaky and peeling from a peel, and said that her face had been burned and all this stuff. And it's like, well, yeah, duh, Trisha, that is what a chemical peel is. Then all of that being said, it made me think more about the company itself, because obviously Trisha just slapped their brand label whatever onto, or maybe they even made it with it, Glow Skin Enhancement. But who was the founder? So the owner of this company is Charlotte Wilson. She does have a YouTube channel where she uploads videos about the behind the scenes of becoming a skincare company, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of like a reality show. Dustin Daly posted a clip of her in her treatment room in California where she was greeting a woman who was coming in for some sort of service, whether it was a facial service or something else.
Take a dog in my place. You know potty train?
Yeah, he goes on his wee pad.
Okay, so this waiver here is, I'm not a doctor, I'm not an esthetician, I'm not a dermatologist, but I do have a gift. I have a gift of skin. So we both agreeing that you'll allow me to share my gift with you, and by signing, printing, and putting today's date, that's our agreement.
It's some doctors that I've been to that haven't been able to get me together.
Oh, really? Well, honey, like I said, mine come from God, so I'd rather have God than man any day. I ain't even taking credit.
Today is 12/21.
Use the restroom.
Oh my God.
Oh Lord.
Oh my God. Look at this. The dog done shitted in my office.
Oh Lord.
Here, let me go close and scoot back. You need a real treatment, like a deep one. All this need to come off. This is all dead skin. We're gonna go straight in.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked that she admitted that on camera too, because she's actually operating illegally in the state of California without a license. Like I said, I do not live in California, but I am a licensed esthetician, and I did have to teach aesthetic laws based on the state that I live in. And because I am a nerd, I do know quite a bit about the laws of other states, some states more than others. It just kind of depended on like where my students were like wanting to move. I would look into that stuff. And I've looked into California's laws. California has very strict laws when it comes to who can and can't do services, and what they can and cannot do. Because aesthetics licenses are not the same from state to state. So from what I'm understanding, this woman is telling us she's not a licensed professional in any way, shape, or form. She didn't actually get any kind of real training with this. And then to compound it all, we have the allegations of somebody's skin being burned. Now, a girl posted a photo. She has what is a 3rd-degree burn on her nose. Now, there's a couple things that I just want to say about this one. This is alleged. I do not know if this is actually from Trish skin. This girl is saying it is. Trisha has reached out to her and they have not gotten any confirmation of purchase. The girl who got burned said that she received it as a gift, but you know, even if you receive something as a gift, you would still get like, they could still tell you like, oh yeah, here's the email they sent me. So there's that. We don't actually know if this is really a burn from Trish skin. Jesus Christ, I talked about skincare way longer than I wanted to. So I'm just gonna move on. So now I'm gonna move into the Buzzfeed article of Trisha Paytas that dropped, and I literally didn't hear anything about it, which is crazy because when the Gabby Hanna article dropped, I heard about it nonstop. I made a whole video about it. So I was like, fuck, I gotta talk about this article too. It came out August 9th, so almost 2 weeks ago. And this article was written by the same person who wrote the Gabby Hanna article, which we all already know because Trisha let us know how pissed they were about that nonstop. So the article is called Don't Piss Off Trisha Paytas. Yikes. And while I was reading the article, I felt like it really evolved as this whole story was unfolding for the journalist because she just went and did like a little, interview with Trisha and then started getting bombarded with hate from Trisha and Trisha stans, which was fucking uncalled for. But I just wanted to read like a few excerpts. So the first part of this article made me laugh. So this is literally the first sentence of the article. After my Uber driver dropped me off at Trisha Paytas' 4-acre property, I immediately got lost. Girl, do you get lost everywhere you go? Because she got lost when she went to go interview Gabby Hanna. She got lost in her house, and then she got lost at Trisha Paytas' house. I kind of roasted Gabby for like not greeting this person at the door and like bringing her up and stuff, but maybe this girl just gets perpetually lost everywhere she goes. Anyway, like the majority of this article is just like her talking about Trisha, going over like all of the crazy things and how long Trisha's been online and how many views they have and the various controversies that Trisha kind of sees themselves as like Andy Kaufman. Then she does also talk about the highs and lows that Trisha experiences of being super popular like they were with Frenemies, and then the lows of the depression, body dysmorphia, and now the mental health struggles they're constantly facing. I feel like you can kind of tell where it became like extremely personal for them. So Trisha said, I really like my life, especially now, they told me. I'm so happy, it's definitely a different time. I believed them. So they said, and this is really far down in the article, they've gone through so much of Trisha's history and talking about like all the stuff we talked about before. So then she says this, when I first met Paytas, I thought I was laughing along with them, enjoying the blips of sometimes harmless chaos they left in their wake. A few months later, I now realize exactly how much damage they can cause. Around the same time as their breakup with Klein, I wrote a profile of one of Paytas' nemesis, Gabby Hanna. Hanna and Paytas had been in a fight for years, stemming from a rumor that Paytas believed Hanna started. Hanna came up in the course of our conversation, but Paytas asked that I keep those comments off the record in both this profile and the one I wrote about Hanna. I did. Ultimately, Paytas did not even want their name to be mentioned anywhere near Hanna's, an impossible request. A lot of Hanna's online fame is, at this point, tied up in her fights with Paytas. Paytas tweeted cropped portions of our email that made it seem like I had agreed to keep them entirely out of the article, which I had not. For weeks, Paytas' most staunch supporters have been sending me doxing threats, suggestions that I kill myself, demands that I be fired, racist jabs about my name and appearance, and suggestions that I could be sued for, I actually am not sure what. My Instagram DMs, Twitter replies, and email inbox are still full of them. Despite Paytas' fury over being associated with Hanna in any capacity, they recently went on Tana Mongeau's podcast Canceled and once again publicly discussed Hanna and their ongoing feud. Last week, I contacted Paytas for a final comment and fact-checking as part of the process of running a profile like this. They responded, I have zero respect for you as a journalist after I asked you to omit me from anything Gabby related. Please kindly do not contact me again. I sent one more email with detailed fact-checking questions. Earlier Friday morning, they posted a new video with the YouTube titled, in part, Enemies 3. In it, Paytas reads out loud from my fact-checking emails and responds in real time. You conniving little snake rat face, they said. You disgusting little rat, you should not get to talk to another human being as long as you live. You are the bottom of the barrel scum of the universe. It was, to put it mildly, a stark differently Paytas than the one I met in May. Initially, having them lash out was frustrating because I think they've built an incredibly, if flawed, career. I've been watching Paytas since I was 16, and even when they faltered, I believed in their redemption. That's why I wanted to profile them in the first place. But from the day I crossed the threshold into Paytas' home, I've been pulled into the undertow of the kind of YouTube fights I watched for years. I've seen Paytas activate their millions of followers in the past, and it feels profoundly destabilizing to not know if I'm being trolled, merely part of this week's show, or if this is something else altogether. So now I understand why it took that journalist so long to get that article out, even though she wrote it before she met with Gabby. Because when it comes to Trisha Paytas, she had a lot of shit that she had to add in because everything was imploding at once, and it does not seem to have stopped. Actually, she probably could have waited another month and had even more. But I guess she could, add a part 2. Trisha did say that they loved the pictures that were taken. Actually, this was Trisha's tweet about that. The title of the Buzzfeed article is Don't Piss Off Trisha Paytas, laughing emoji, fitting. I still think Buzzfeed is trash, but the lovely independent photographer who took the photos was so wonderful, so I'm posting them because I look hot in them. So Trisha now has their own podcast. They've, of course, been hopping from podcast to podcast, going on Tiana Mojo's podcast and Keemstar's podcast and other podcasts that haven't aired yet, and also went on Dr. Drew's podcast, though I'm not actually sure if that is a podcast. I think it might just be a Facebook stream. Trisha has also started their own podcast called My Chemical Imbalance. Now, there's only a couple episodes, but Trisha is going to be talking all about their mental health. Of course, in the second episode, Trisha talks a lot about Ethan. Of course, you see, and throughout it, it is just riddled with contradictions because that's all Trisha is. Trisha said in their interview, I think it was on Mom's Basement, that they're a walking contradiction and it's okay if you admit that. But not really, Trisha, because you are hurting people and you are triggering people. You constantly complain about how things are triggering you all the time, but you live life as a constant trigger for so many people. What's also interesting is in the second episode, Trisha does echo something that I've said in a few videos, and that is, you are responsible for what you do, regardless if you're mentally ill or not. You are responsible for your own actions. It's not your fault that you're mentally ill. It's not your fault that you're sick, but you are responsible. If you are cohesive and in a clear state of mind, obviously you're responsible. So when you lash out at other people, that is your responsibility. You're responsible for your reaction in that situation. Trisha fully admits that and says that in this podcast, but then continues to talk about Ethan like they're holding themselves to the standard, but Ethan isn't holding themselves to the standard, which makes me think Trisha does not go back and listen or watch these recordings that they're so adamant that they need to help remember things. And that's another thing that I have an issue with. If you are like, I have to go back and look at all of these screenshots to remember things, it feels very Gabby Hanna reminiscent. Like I said, Trisha did also go on Dr. Drew and they talked about bipolar disorder. Now, some people were like, Dr. Drew's not a real doctor. Dr. Drew is a real doctor. Dr. Drew is not a clinical psychologist, but Dr. Drew is an internal doctor. They can work in any medical field. He does specialize a lot with drug addiction too, and that's going to have a huge profound effect on the internal body system. I mean, it was like an over an hour stream, so I'm not going to do the whole thing, but what I did think was interesting is they had really good dialogue. What I actually thought was funny though was Trisha would actually be legitimately like listening to what Dr. Drew was saying, and you know when people just completely drop like the fake facade, like the customer service face. Trisha totally does that in this. Like I thought, holy shit, I don't think I've ever seen like their real, just like true face, because I always see pictures on Instagram or thumbnails, but to just see like their just basic face without, I was like, oh, that's what you really look like. You're just okay. Trisha did talk a lot about like taking responsibility for things, which I do not see that happening. But one thing that Dr. Drew pointed out that was like, wow, that is a big thing for Trisha, is apparently with bipolar disorder, and these are his words, not mine, because he's worked very heavily with bipolar disorder in psychiatric hospitals, that bipolar people actually can project their emotions to the people around them before they're even actually feeling their emotions. So in all of the instances on Frenemies where Ethan would say to Trisha, "Are you mad? You look mad. You're mad." And they would say, "No, I'm not mad." And then they would get mad. Dr. Drew was saying, "No, you were already mad. You just didn't realize that you were already mad, because that's what BPD does. But everyone around you could already feel your anger." And that's where that disconnect is. Now, Trisha said they cannot recognize that. However, a lot of people have told them that. So in these podcasts, Trisha is talking a lot about their therapy and the work that they're doing, and that they see multiple different kinds of therapists, and they have these workbooks and everything. And it's almost feels like Trisha is using the therapy to say, "Look, you guys, I am doing all the work that I need to do. So whatever I do, you can't be mad at me, because look, I'm trying. I'm doing the work. See, I have this workbook." She even held up a workbook. I don't know what the workbook was. In the grand scheme of things, I'm not really sure if the workbook is really doing the help that you need if you're still acting like this online, which really brings me to the overall arc of what's going on with Trisha. And it's that this entire family dynamic that I've really been trying to stay away from and avoid, and I'm not going to talk about it too much. This whole thing with Ethan and his mother sending a text message, I don't really want to go into that too greatly of detail, but what I will say was I did see a very interesting point that was pointed out on Reddit. So in Trisha's video where they said they were done with all of this, they said, "We are trying to conceive, and drama creates stress, and stress makes it difficult to conceive." Well, we all know very well at this point what Donna's text to Moses was about stress and Gila and her pregnancy. So for Trisha to say this when they know full well they're the root of a lot of stress and drama that is happening in the Klein household, specifically while Gila is pregnant, is just shameful. Honestly, it's just shameful. Really, in Trisha, it's all about Trisha. It's all Trisha's world. And it's unfortunate that Moses has fallen into this. Stuff did come out that Trisha had been physical with Moses, but that they had moved past this. And I do believe that's the case. However, it does seem like Moses is just, for lack of a better word, he's enabling this behavior of Trisha. Trisha is literally lashing out at his family. Gila is his blood sister. He's choosing Trisha over his family. Now, Moses says that his parents love Trisha. It's hard to have feelings about it because family dynamics are already very difficult, because everybody's family dynamic is very different, and then you have multiple families with multiple family dynamics coming in, and then you have Trisha Paytas coming in like the fucking Tasmanian devil, ripping everything to shreds. So I think if Trisha was actually serious about getting help with their mental illness, they would take the step and take time offline. They don't need to be posting all this horrific content that is directed at their future brother-in-law. It's not healthy. If you are seeing multiple therapists, it's great that you're doing all this work, but where's the end result? We're not seeing this end result. Trisha has taken 50 steps back. And it's great that Trisha is sober right now and feels like that they're starting to get on the right kind of medication. It doesn't seem to be helping the situations at all. In fact, Trisha continues to pop off. So they've said that they're done. I haven't really seen Ethan post anymore. Trisha has removed a lot of their enemies episodes. I think a lot of their rants are still up, and however many TikToks and tweets and everything. How BPD works, and this was explained by Dr. Drew, and Trisha totally agreed with this, is it is a all or nothing mentality. It is a black and white. There is no gray area in between. And I think that's why Trisha flies off the handle so much. Trisha really likes you, or you are the most vile, evil, disgusting, rat-faced creature on the planet. That's it. There's no in between. It's not like I don't really like them that much, but they're cool, whatever. That's not how it is with Trisha. And I don't know if that's something that you can work through with BPD, because I do not have BPD and I am not a psychologist, but it does present a very difficult thing for Trisha because, as we've seen in all of their fights with Ethan and pretty much anybody else, they can be on perfectly good terms with them, and then it just goes from a 0 to 100, and you have always been evil from the second Trisha laid their eyes on you. And a lot of people live with BPD and have normal, productive, functioning lives. They get along with their family. It's sad. And it's like Trisha is more committed to their mental illness and using it as basically a way to stay relevant. I mean, that's really what this looks like. I mean, I call Gabby Hanna out for using her mental illness and her mental struggles to, gain sympathy and all that. That's pretty much what Trisha Paytas is doing at this point, especially now with having a full podcast. I'm not saying that I don't support people talking about mental health, because these are conversations that need to happen. And I do think their podcast is beneficial. However, I don't really know. I question how genuine it is. What is the real motivation? Because when you watch the My Chemical Imbalance podcast, they are very calm, cool, collected, and they were with Dr. Drew as well, because you can see that they really respect Dr. Drew. That might be another interesting aspect too. I don't think Trisha really has respect for pretty much anybody. So we see Trisha being super calm, cool, and collected, and able to, thinking about what they're saying before they're saying it. But then in these rants, Trisha is just going off. And the thing about the rants that I find the craziest and most concerning is that Trisha is out of breath. It's like Trisha ran up and down 20 flights of stairs before they sat down and made that video. Literally gasping for air the entire time. But I think it's part of that all or nothing, black or white mentality. That fight or flight kicks in and the body just goes into overdrive. I think Trisha really needs to step away for a while. Girl, just plan your wedding. Have fun. I always tell everyone to get off the internet, and I'm not gonna have anybody to talk about. So yeah, I think Trisha Paytas is being extremely messy, and it's not gonna stop. Trisha did come out with one other channel called Trish Talks. I think it's skits, sketches, comedy, I don't know. That might be a nice change of pace for them for a while. They need to stop with the drama. But of course, Trisha is not gonna leave the internet. They are not gonna stop jumping from podcast to podcast. They are not gonna try to stop making a podcast of their stick, because Trisha does love podcasting, and actually, Trisha's not terrible at it. Trisha was concerned that their OnlyFans was going to be going away soon because OnlyFans was getting away from adult content. But just today, OnlyFans said, you can do that again. We've secured specific payment people that will process your payments. Way to go, OnlyFans. Apparently Trisha can actually just go back to posting whatever they want. Now, the other thing, this isn't exactly Trisha related, but kind of by proxy a little bit, and that is that Families, the podcast, is no more. Next week, Ethan will be starting a new podcast with a unknown person to replace Families. And Families was a pretty big hit. Actually, people really liked it, but I feel like it was going to become more stagnant soon, because let's face it, people do like Donna, they like Ethan's mom, but she doesn't know that much about what's going on the internet. And I mean, she kind of screws up a lot of internet stories sometimes, apparently that creep show thing. So we love Donna in our hearts, but it's time for her to a butterfly fly away. Like what I did there? So Frenemies done, Families done. Now we're moving into something else. It has to be something new and innovative, and has to be something totally inventive. It can't be a spin-off. I'm curious to see what that is. And yeah, tell me, what do you think down in the comments below? Do you think Trisha needs to get off the internet for a while? I'm sure you guys have a lot of opinions on what's going on between Moses and Trisha and the family. Moses said that Hila and Ethan blocked him, so it appears that none of them are following each other on social media accounts anymore, and I personally think that was probably in the best interest of Hila and her family. Anyway, you guys, that is it for today's video. I have a lot more opinions on Trisha, but I really, honestly, there's just so much. I couldn't fit it all into one, and I didn't want to make a fucking 3-hour video. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Remember, please don't send anybody mentioned in this video any hate, negativity, nothing like that. All of these people have already experienced enough bullshit for enough lifetime. We're just here to talk about some stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you next time. Laters. Bye.